Here.
Okay, can we rise for the pledge to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of our last meeting.
Move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
I need to make a motion for approval of the SRO agreement. To authorize you to enter into that agreement with the school.
As a municipal order for,
That's,
Yeah.
you want to add,
MO 13-202.
to add to the.
you want to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, that.
All right, is there a second to that motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. Okay, we're to visitors and communications. Who would like to address council tonight and tell us some fun stuff? Yes. Oh, we have a public hearing. I'm sorry, no,
Nobody gets to talk yet.
not visitors communications yet. We have to talk about alcohol.
So I get to talk first, I apologize.
Yep.
Okay, let's open this public hearing at 7:01 p.m. Application has been received from Always in Play LLC, doing business as Always in Play, 90 Alexandria Pike, Suite 15, Fort Thomas, Kentucky, for the following licenses: an NQ4 retail malt beverage drink license, a quota retail drink license, and a special Sunday retail drink license. Anybody that has any good cause or reason to object can speak now or forever hold their peace.
Can you give us a little background on what this company is?
This one's actually pretty cool. It's actually a couple of local people, including a dentist that some of us probably go to, actually opening up a golf simulator place. There are 4 golf simulator bays. I believe there's a 5th private one that can be rented out for parties. So the idea is go up there with a couple of your buddies, hit some golf balls in a golf simulator, and have a couple of beers while you're there.
And where is this?
It's actually up at 90 Alexandria Pike. So, up there in the Jeff Weiler / Michael Tyers / Grace Fellowship /
Cool.
yeah. I actually peeked my head there the other day when I was posting the notices, and it looks really cool. So, yeah.
Sounds great. Does anybody have any comments about that?
Very good. Then with no comments, I will close the public hearing at 7:03 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're back on our agenda. If anybody would like to address council, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us what you'd like to say.
Elizabeth Allen Green, 45 Lockwood Place. I would like to ask Mr. Kramer, I guess, regarding the Renaissance Board minutes. I had to file an open records request, and I believe you said you were going to check with the KRS code to see if that's the way it's done, or if we can get those out on the website, or.
Yes, moving forward, we'll be having those available after the meeting. They'll be approved at the following meeting, and after that approval, then they'll be on the website for KRS.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. I guess all my other questions were for Mr. Diesel, but he's not here. Maybe somebody can fill me in. Maybe Lisa. Any movement on the splash park?
We have not had a recreation day. You guys have any comments?
Yeah, we will be having a rec meeting, committee meeting here in the next few weeks. I haven't scheduled it, but I will be scheduling it later this week once I can discuss with the committee scheduling, which has been very easy lately. But we will schedule that, and that will be part of our discussion. Actually, yeah, we'll be briefly discussing that, but that project will most likely go out to bid next couple of months. So we're still finalizing some utilities on the plan.
so it's still being discussed for the Highland Park site?
Correct.
Okay, that's it then, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address council? All right, if not, we'll move on. Oh, wait a minute, we do have, oh, yes, sir, come on up.
David Robb, 106 Robinson Avenue. I'd like to address the council about the Great Creek Bingo incident from last month. A couple questions. Wanted to know what the deliberative process was after the complaint was received by Teresa Schaefer at 11:37 a.m. 6:20. How did you decide to cancel it? What was the deliberation between you, Mayor Haas, and the city administrator?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, the two people that you mentioned. I'm
You
not,
and the city administrator, right? That was you and Matt Kramer?
yes.
So from my, Mr. Kramer, from what I've learned from my freedom of information act request and my discussion with other city employees, it seems that the decision was made by the two of you. But there's nothing in the document from the freedom of information act request that talks about the deliberation process. I'd like to know more about how you decided to cancel them. So it's clear that your reasoning is that it didn't meet the health and welfare guidelines. However, earlier in the day, as late as 1:30 that day, Shanda Clalentine, did I get the name right? Clalentine was saying that there was an attempt to say if it could fit under kind of concept of, she says it's good for the mind, body, and soul. Laughter is good for the mind, body, and soul. So as late as 1:30 of the day, there's an attempt to see if they could adjust the activity to meet within the guidelines. But then later in the day, Matt Kramer at 6:20 and 4:42 says that it's not, it can't be political in nature, and that the rental agreement, it needs to happen in a rental agreement at a different time and place. He emails Shanda that. So I'm just wondering, what was the conversation that you had, the two of you, that led to your decision to not try to adjust the activity, but to cancel it outright?
I'll speak to that. So when it was first brought to my attention that morning, I was unaware of it. You know, I'd only been here a month, I think, at the time, so I wasn't unaware of the event. I informed the mayor that we had gotten some complaints, but I was looking into the event. He wasn't familiar with the event either, I don't believe. So I met with Chanda. We discussed the event. Met with a couple other staff. We briefly talked about it, and I looked into what we've done on health and wellness for the last year or two, and then we came back and we met again later that afternoon, and as a group decided it did not fit within that confines of the health and wellness compared to what we've done in the past, and that it would be best serve the community to have it as a separate event.
How does it best serve the community?
It just wouldn't fit into our health and wellness.
I guess my line of questioning is, at what point did you decide to stop trying to adjust the activity and decide to cancel it outright, and what influenced you to do that?
Well, we did not try to adjust the activity. I mean,
Well,
the event was a drag bingo, so
Right.
there's not much to adjust with that.
Well, that's not true. So Chanda in her email to you says that, hey, so there's an email earlier in the day that says, hey, we should expect some pushback from Tiffany Tomeo, who represents the marketing manager of the farmer's market. That was at 9:23 that day. So then later, then Chanda comes back and says, well, let's try to adjust it. Let's try to make it say that laughter is good for the spirit, mind, and soul. So there is an attempt by the city to take something that, there was a complaint, then there's the opportunity to try to adjust to make it to appease all parties, but then all of a sudden it's canceled. So I'm just trying to understand how it's in the community's interest to bend to some of the really disgusting and quite frankly hurtful comments that other members of the community have made about it. So what it seems to me is that the city basically folded. They got about 4 or 5 really nasty emails from people saying things like, I'd like to quote them here, hold on just a second. saying that we have to stand up for decency and our youth, that this event will rot the innocence of our kids, and that, my favorite, controversial things cannot exist in our town. So what I'm trying to square here is there's a good faith effort from the city employees to, there were some problems with the event, right? It was, you can't have a city event benefiting the HRC, I understand that. But why not try to do, why not follow the employees' lead and try to find something that works for everybody? Instead, you just shut the whole thing down. And it seems to me that you're kowtowing to these, voices in our community that, are trying to shut down an event, not because it doesn't fit the health and wellness. They're trying to shut it down because they don't want gay people in the community. And that's how it reads to me as a gay person in our community.
All right, David, you do know that that event occurred an hour and a half later, right?
I'm aware that it
Okay,
occurred.
well, you keep saying that the city shut it down.
They did.
You're saying that the city didn't work to make it work out. We did. We took it out of our health and wellness, and we allowed them to have a separate event the same evening, later in the evening.
But what I'm saying is when the city did not stand up for the gay community, the queer community in the city.
That was not part of the decision making. We were not looking at the emails of the hateful things people wrote in emails. I was strictly looking at it from a city event that did not fit the historical events that were done during wellness. So that's what it is. The event still went on, correct?
That's correct.
So what you keep saying that the city did everything they could to stop it.
That's what I said.
That is
That's not what I said.
Okay.
I've thought a lot about this. You might be, know each other. It's kind of like this. There are, sorry, yeah. We have lots of ordinances and rules about a lot of things. And it's, having done this for a number of years, I've sort of developed a philosophy about that. I think a lot of this enforcement stuff should be complaint driven. For example, we don't run around looking to see if somebody put a chicken coop too close to somebody's yard, right? We had to deal with that once. And the thing that's probably been most irritating to me, and I think it's, why you're upset at seeing the emails and that, and it's irritating is because there are people that have complained about something and gotten away with it. And there's a very clear analogy in my mind, a very specific thing that we had to vote on that had to do with a property use zoning type thing. And the thing that made me upset about it, which I voted again, I didn't vote in the majority. But the thing that upset me about it is because I just didn't want to reward a neighbor for looking at some technical error that somebody made that made no difference to anybody, that was then going to cost them some expense and not do what they wanted to do. And it just drove me crazy that a neighbor was going to get away with this. Nevertheless, there was a rule. And I don't know, there's not an easy answer to that. I mean, do you follow the rules or do you not follow the rules? It's too bad that people assign these motivations. I mean, it's natural. Everybody does it. Assigns motivations for doing, one thing or another. In this case, I mean, of course, you're well aware of us at the time being one of the not that many cities that adopted a fairness ordinance to address the very issue that you're stating. That we don't want to be viewed as that type of community. And we made a very public statement about that, and it was fortunate that several other, all our surrounding cities, joined. We weren't the first, but we weren't the last one either. And then we were on the right side of the law, as it turns out, because the Supreme Court of the United States said, yeah, you're right. And so, but that I think is a statement about what, and that was unanimous vote of the council. I think that's a statement of the policy of, I can't speak for anybody but myself, but, we're elected as a city council. But you know, to sort of speak for everybody. So, you know, I think council did speak for the city in that sense, and that's the view that we want to stand. And there was a very good follow-up article in one NKY, and I don't know the gentleman's name, but, you know, he made the same observation that he didn't look at it as, you know, a statement. I look at it as one of those neighbor getting a neighbor gotcha things that drives me as crazy as it's driving you, maybe. But I'm not you, you know, but I don't like that either. But, well, you know, there's just those rules, and, you know, I'm not gonna say when somebody's forcing an actual policy that they're wrong. It's just different. That's not an expression of what we think.
It's been pointed out, I mean, I hope you realize that council didn't weigh in on that decision at all. It was administrative work. But it was pointed out to me that I don't know if this is a past or a future event that's planned, but there's one that's throwing pottery, and I don't know how you can call that health and wellness either. So there is a little discretionary question. Do we have to cancel that one if it's a future event?
And I think, in my understanding, I didn't know anything about it either until Matt brought it to my attention. It was actually in my calendar because I downloaded the calendar, but you know, I didn't look at everything. I knew that there were health and wellness events tied in with farmers market. Didn't pay any attention to it. When this came up, when it was brought to our attention, we discussed it. One of the things that Chanda told me was when it was originally designed, it was an entirely different event. And then it got changed somewhere along the line. The original people, whoever changed it. And honestly, it just got overlooked. Nobody really paid attention until all of a sudden it's posted out there and people were asking about it. And the reality is it didn't fit our health and wellness. It was fine. And so we were able to do it that exact same night, but it wasn't a city-sponsored event. It was a private event, and it was the same night, the same thing. So we did our best to try to minimize the issue on both sides. And trust me, it was not an easy thing to deal with. It was very frustrating dealing with this because, you know, and we had people come here to the meeting and said, oh, you got to get on Facebook and look at what people are saying. I hated that. I hate seeing the hate out there and all the bantering going back and forth. And I keep reminding myself, you're looking at Facebook, you're looking at a very, very small portion of people, and they tend to be the same 5 or 6 people that go back and forth, and they feed off of each other. Yep. That's not the way most people in the city feel. We're very blessed in this town. We've got a great city. I'm sorry the whole thing got blown out of proportion the way it did. I thought we came up with the best solution that we could, given the circumstances we were in. So that's my feeling.
Yeah, and I appreciate your response, and I appreciate the councilors who responded to me. I guess I'll just say this in closing. You know, I appreciate your struggle to make a solution that fits both sides. I think where my complaint is that it's both sides. That to me, one side of this is not upholding the values that the city voted on the fairness ordinance. They are clearly have an anti-animus against gay and queer members of the community, and by making it a private event, the city is taking a side by not doing anything. And I think I understand your point of view, and I understand the politics behind it, and I'll just say that I found it disappointing and lacking from the city.
I understand what you're saying. I disagree with that assessment because, again, it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with the fact that it did not fit. It wasn't talking about that issue. It was an entertainment event, and it didn't fit. Like,
No, I understand.
You can agree to disagree.
I would say at the end result, I think there was probably maybe double or triple the attendance as a result of the controversy.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Would anyone else like to address council? Yes, sir. Come on.
Thank you very much. I'll be a little bit more brief on ag plans. We're at 5 Rosemont Avenue. I'm not a public speaker, so I have a cheat sheet today. I'll be real brief. I appreciate the city's interest in the park across the street from me. This is Green Park. But I do, as I sent an email to you yesterday, I disagree with having a pickleball or basketball court. That's a park for little kids. And we got a lot of parents who come with little kids, and I think that if we have older kids who play basketball there, that would crowd those kids out. I do not agree that it would be an improvement to the green space to take away green space and put asphalt down. So I hope that you'll keep that in mind. I'm a little concerned about the trees. I hate to see any more trees get taken down, but I do have a question. I am curious if the city has an arborist, and if you're checking the health of these trees. I know I've had a branch come off one of the trees and damage one of my vehicles. I didn't pursue it, but we ended up selling the car. But I think that's something you should look into, because I think people can get hurt if the trees are not healthy. I'm also concerned about messing up the street. The street's been messed up for a long time because of the project. So whatever improvements that you do, I hope that they don't entail tearing up the street for a long period of time. And I like what you've done with Power Park. The courts there are great. They're away from houses. I just went by there. There were 7 cars parked there now. I think that's kind of low to what it typically is. Yeah, I don't think we have the infrastructure to support basketball courts in that area. So that's just one man's opinion. I don't know if everybody else agrees, but I think it would be a bad idea to put basketball courts in that park. Okay, that's it.
Matt, might you be able to address how far we are, along we are for that station?
Yeah, that's another one that's gonna be part of our rec committee this month. I owe you an email, I apologize, it's been a crazy day, but by tomorrow morning, I'll respond to your email that I
It was
got.
quite lengthy, and I went into a lot of details, but I tried to hit the salient points here today. Just, I think you guys are in danger of changing the character of that park if you entertain these notions of having an asphalt court. Everybody, all these kids that drive to the basketball courts, I don't think we have the infrastructure for that. If you put courts in, you're gonna have to put parking in. And right now, we have young parents who drive up, take our parking, and go to the park with little kids, and we find somewhere else to park. We don't have any problem with that, because they're only there for a half hour, 20 minutes. Some of these kids are here for hours.
Right.
So it's a totally different dynamic. So anyway, I don't mean to clog up your email.
No, it was a-
But thank you very much for listening to what I have to say. That's all.
Thanks.
Okay?
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'm glad you sent the email. That's good information to have. And I can tell you that as far as the rec committee is concerned, we had not planned on doing anything with that park at this point. That's not been in discussions, mainly because sanitation district's in here, and I agree with you about the trees. It scares me. They did a good job of trying to get around trees, but my fear is they got down on those root systems and they compacted over that so much that, we'll do our best to try to keep them surviving now.
Just verify, it's not just a visual thing. I mean, we all know about that tragedy that happened a few years ago with a young girl in the tree, and that weighs on my mind.
Yes.
That's far more important than the visual thing. And like you said, I had some damage to my vehicle. I didn't care. It wasn't the end of the world, because it was just a regular old vehicle. But yeah, I am a little bit worried about safety there with the tree. So if you can look into that, I would be grateful. And I promise I won't bother you anymore.
No, absolutely, and if you do see something that looks dangerous on a tree and you haven't addressed it, please get back in touch with us since you're living right there. Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Would anyone else like to address council?
Thank you, sir.
All right, well, now I do believe we have a special date today. Happy birthday.
Oh, God.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Casey. Happy birthday to you. Now for my second number. Seriously, happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, we're down to reports, boards, committees, and commissions, which we have none. Reports of officers, fire department monthly report. Take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. So as my report stated, in June, we were very busy. The department responded to 5 fires. And then we, of course, assisted the police department in their situations. All of our personnel came out with no injuries, no issues, or anything like that. So that was very well. So if anyone has any questions on my report, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions?
Move to receive and file.
Second. All in favor, say say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great, thank you very much. Police Department.
Thanks,
You
man.
had a big party today, right? Everybody ate
so
some
much
more.
pizza and cake over the weekend. I just feel careful about myself today. I looked at the salad and got the cuties. Yeah, I've been with my folks last night. Hung out, got some drinks. That was nice. Thank you for remembering.
Sure.
Lucky 44. Spent 22 years in Ohio and 22 years in Kentucky, so this year's the tiebreaker.
Is that right?
That's right.
Interesting.
Okay, from the monthly, I just want to talk about one thing, and it's the email that I included after my letter about physical fitness. For many years, we've had some type of physical fitness incentive for police officers. In the beginning, it was just a pin, put on your uniform, and later on, they added something to the contract that was, financial. But this past year, we had 21 out of 22 police officers take the test and pass it. That's the highest year ever. We usually have maybe 2/3 of our department overall take it. Some folks just don't want to put the work in, but this year was our best year ever. Out of the 21 people that passed it, 11 received some type of advanced or elite scores. So they went out and went above and beyond in all 5 categories that we measured for that test. So I was happy to see it. I'm proud of them, and I just want the council to know that all those members put this time in, on their own, going to the gym and running and working out to do extremely well on this test. And I was happy to see such a great result. But that's all I had to talk about. Was the physical fitness test.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Entertained a motion?
Move to receive and file.
Second.
Can I shoot a question real quick? The Grand Avenue incident, do we know the status of the perpetrator? Is he still?
Yeah, he's still in jail. He's facing a couple big charges there. So there's 2 charges. The first for firing a gun out of his house, and the second for firing a gun out of his house with a police officer standing right there. So after he was arrested, he did not want to be interviewed, so he didn't offer an explanation about what had happened leading up to that. But he's sitting in jail facing those 2 charges.
Okay. Somebody's back living in the house again. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's actually subdivided into 2 different apartments. So, second versus credit.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right. The administrator's report.
Thank you, sir. Got a few things here. We did meet with Brandfield this week, who's doing the branding for the city. So we are moving forward with that. I'm waiting on a contract from them to review. And also on Thursday, we'll be touring the city with the group. That way they can kind of take a look at what areas of the city, one that can use some new branding, and just different areas of the city that they can include in the research that they're conducting right now. We are going to be posting later this week or early next week the position that was approved in the last budget for building inspector, zoning administrator. So if anybody knows of anybody interested in that position, it will be posted here shortly. We do have a municipal order that was added by Ken today, and I appreciate adding that. It's just an administrative order to allow the mayor to sign our SRO agreement with the Fort Thompson Independent Schools. It's the same agreement we've been doing for 4 years, so nothing has changed on that, just in case anybody has any questions about it. I apologize for that coming late, but we kind of received it late and still catching up coming in here in the last couple of months here. I do have a budget request I had emailed out earlier. I'll discuss here during new business. The city building, we have received the final electrical equipment that we were waiting on a month early or 5 months early, depending on who you ask. But it's there. So later this week, we should be getting a completion date. So now they're trying to figure out everything that they're going to need to complete, and we'll hopefully at least have a date by the end of this week. So that is moving forward. I'm still thinking it's going to be another 2 months out, just knowing the how long it's going to take to get the ceiling tiles in. But we'll have a better idea at the end of the week, and then I'll email council and let everybody know. Hawthorne Avenue, we've been working on curbs, prepping that for the overlay. We've been working on that for a couple weeks, and we've got a couple more weeks to finish that. That will be paved here in September timeframe. If anyone wants questions, that's all I have.
Any questions?
Is there a committee that's formed to interview or work with Grand Fuel that is established, or how's that?
We did have a committee earlier that established Brand Fuel to do the job. Right, and then we're gonna reach out to all of them and kind of explain the process moving forward. Right now, the staff is gonna be working with them to try to get them moving down to certain decision points, and at that point, then we will have either that committee or council as a whole just to be making decision points moving forward. So we're still, actually today was the first time I had a chance to talk to the mayor about that process, so we're still working through that, and then we'll make notification once we figure that out. Good question, thank you.
What's the timetable on the 100 sidewalks?
3 to 4 weeks. Does that sound? We're finishing up some. Well, we're not. The contractor's finishing up some final grading on some parts of the sidewalk, but our crew should be there middle of this week or late this week. We should have a full crew there.
For the sidewalk.
For
So
any
it seems
sidewalk.
I can remember.
It'll be the sidewalks and the parking lot. That's all under one contract.
Oh, okay.
So.
Great. Thank you.
That's exciting too. Awesome. Okay, we're down to old business. We have nothing under old business, new business, consideration of public works truck purchases.
Back at me here. So I did send an email out, and I'm going to pull that up just because I had the numbers, and I might mess some numbers up. Okay. So I am asking for council to make a motion to approve us moving forward with some additional spending. We've had 2 vehicles that were in last year's budget that came in after the June 30th timeframe. Now, if we receive the vehicles July 1st or later, that expense should be coming out of the current budget. Okay, so those were 2 vehicles that we were expecting to get done by June 30th, and with delays in production and everything else that we all know about, they got delayed. So there's, last year's budget is coming in a lot shorter than expected now, and we're requesting that they get added onto this year. The one vehicle is Public Works. It was a one-ton pickup chassis that did we receive that today, Joe?
We did pick that up today.
We did get it today. So that one was received today. That was $44,000, and then we were able to locate a stainless steel dump bed along with the plow and plow equipment to go along with that, which is another $44,000. So that actually came in about $14,000 over budget from last year, just due to cost increases over the last 6 months. And so that's the addition I'm asking for Public Works for the capital budget, which would be $88,000. Additionally, the general government vehicle, which would be my vehicle, that's replacing the red Tahoe, and that was budgeted for $50,000. We located a Durango down in Somerset for $36,000, so we were about $14,000 under on that budget, but it didn't get received until this month as well. So we're asking council to approve purchasing both of those, and then we will add those into the next budget amendment. But until then, just wanted to make sure council was okay with that. If council isn't okay with that, that just would mean that 2 vehicles that we had budgeted for this year, we just wouldn't purchase. But I think everybody understands the last 2 years, we've had some trouble getting vehicles in to the city. We're pretty behind, as you can see the vehicle I was driving the first month or so, and that's our best vehicle now after the new vehicle. If that tells you anything. So I think it's important that we continue on trying to find vehicles. And you'll notice here in probably the next few years, we're not going to be getting the state bids anymore like we have been. We've been hearing rumors about it, and we're starting to see it. We've been having to bid out and contact dealers individually to get government rates. So the prices aren't a big difference, but if we don't get the actual state bid pricing, we have to bid it ourselves because it's over $30,000. So we've been having to do that extra legwork, which is what we did with the 2 Durangos, one for the police department and one for general government. We had to do a bid after we located vehicles that we could actually take. So that's just kind of the process. You'll see things will be a little bit different moving forward. We're getting ready to do the same thing with Public Works 3/4 ton pickup that we have budgeted, assuming this is approved tonight. But you'll see a lot more bids like that going out, which typically we didn't have to do in the past. So.
I would like to make a motion to add $88,000 Public Works money to the budget.
Should we do the other vehicle at the same time, or do you want to do it separately?
It'll be,
It's gonna cover both.
you could do it with the same motion.
Or no, they are two separate.
It's still gonna be out of the capital fund. One will be 88,000 and the other will be 36,000.
That's what you said, isn't it?
Yes, so one for 88 and another for 36.
That's what I thought you said. Is there a second to that, what we thought he said? Okay.
So, and I'd just like to say too, I thought about this, thank you for the efforts to save some money on the vehicle, man, especially considering we have to pay a little bit more for that 1-ton diesel. To an extent, the vehicles that the city operates are a reflection of the city, and I've been in that car when I was driving it, and you're driven, and it was way faster, so I think this is a good, something to improve and move forward.
Roll call vote, please.
Aye.
Thank you.
We're now in report of disbursement.
Report of disbursement. Report of disbursements, June 11th through July 15th, 2022. General fund, $463,883.01. Public Works KDOT fund, $21,873.77. CBD revitalization, $399,637.63. Waste fee, $101,998.54. Police and Fire Pension Fund, $1,519.07. Total, $948,912.02. Waiting on resigned members of the Finance Committee recommend that warrants number 11347 through 11541 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Mr. Henry, chairperson, Ms. Kelly, member.
Move approval. I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kelly. Mr. Henry.
Aye.
Mr. Bell.
Aye.
Mr. Bean.
Aye.
Thank you. Now the ordinance, resolutions, and orders, and this will be voting on 12.
Municipal order MO 12, 2022, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute documents necessary to effectualize the development agreement with the Quarter Group LLC, including but not limited to deeds, promissory notes, mortgages, and easements.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kelly. Mr. Henry.
Aye.
Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Bean.
All right. We have another municipal order. Well, we have executive order, but then we have public order. Whichever one you want.
Municipal order MO 13, 2022, a municipal order authorizing the mayor to execute a school resource officer agreement with the Board of Education of Fort Collins Independent School District.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kelly. Mr. Henry.
Aye.
Mr. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Bean.
Aye.
Executive order EO 14, 2022, an executive order authorizing the city administrative officer and mayor to make and execute documents and contracts on behalf of the mayor in the event of the mayor's absence or unavailability.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Or you don't, that's it.
right, Matt's just kind of putting that out there to let you all know. In most cases, almost in every case, they get a hold of me and I sign whatever documents. But if there's some little contract or something, it's not that officially. All right. Anything else to come before council? You did this quickly, my God. Good job. All right, oh, we have to have, Linda says we have to have a motion to adjourn.
On the, unless
Come on, it's on there.
It used to be on.
I'll entertain a motion for adjournment if someone wants to. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? What, nobody's opposed? Come on, be opposed. Let's get the meeting going. Okay, we're done. Thank you all very much.